to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shawna. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. So, all right, as the title says, we're gonna get into it. If you're watching this, you probably have exams coming up. You're gonna do great. And to make sure that you do great, here are some tips to help you get through it. So, in the event that you do your exam and maybe it doesn't go great on the first sitting, always go and review your paper. Sometimes they place trick questions on the paper and you won't even realize, and you think that you put the right thing. And then when you go to review your paper, you'll be able to see that you didn't put the right thing and you'll never forget it again. Always go and review your paper if you didn't pass your exam. Sometimes teachers mark things incorrectly. If you have the luck of God, sometimes teachers mark things incorrectly and you might get an added point or something that could push you over the edge if it was a close call. I've had a classmate before where she didn't pass her exam, and when she went to review her paper, she literally passed with a 4. They just marked a section incorrectly. Always go review your paper if you didn't pass. This is an affliction that I had when I was in first year med, and also my friend had when we were in first year med. I don't know much people have. Do not change your answers last minute. Just believe me, don't change your answers last minute. A lot of the times the answer that you put first was the correct answer, but then in that minute of panic and uncertainty, when you're reading over at the end, you're like, oh no, XYZ. Unless you know for certain that, oh no, it's the other one, don't change your answer. Just leave it with the first one. Unless you know for certain that I made a mistake, it should be the other thing, leave it how it is. Just trust me on this. Just believe me. There are many times where I just needed 1 or 2 points to pass and I changed the answer from the correct thing the last minute. Don't do it. Next, attempt every single question. Don't leave a question blank. Like even if you don't know the answer, put something and let it be wrong so that they can give you a 2. Because, and the reason I say this, if you are answering a section on the exam and it have A, B, and C, and C carries the bulk of the points. So let's say you're in second year, right? And you know that physiology is usually the essay question. So you have A might be anatomy, B might be histology, and then C is the physiology question where you need to explain the entire process. The question that's going to carry the most bulk is question C, or the answer that's going to carry the most bulk is the answer you put for C. If you leave A and leave B empty, but then you write out the whole 6-paragraph long answer for question C, the fact that you left A and B out, they're not going to pass you. They're gonna put the question as incomplete, and they're not gonna give you the marks that should have been like full marks for question C. So it is important that even if you put the answer on it wrong, put it there so that they'll put okay 2, 2, and then 5 at the bottom, because at that point you would have gotten a 3 for that section overall. And I learned that the hard way. Attempt every question. Always attempt every question. Even if you don't know the answer, or even what you put is rubbish, attempt it, because you never know. This is kind of a rule of thumb. If a question came on the PIS or the Preba intersemestrial, your midterm exam, any question will come on the midterm exam, it's not coming on final exam. Especially not as an essay question. It might come as like a multiple choice, but it's not coming as an essay question. I promise you, it's not gonna happen at all. You might hope so, but it's not coming. If it does come, they'll maybe put it back on Mondial. That happened in third year. The exact intersemestrial exam that they gave, the exact midterm that they gave, they put it back. But that's the final sitting, and that's the reason why they gave it back. Because they, 1, nobody would think that that's coming back, and 2, more likely they weren't going to remember the answers that they placed for it unless they got a paper and it was just great for them. So you don't need to waste time going extremely into depth, or you don't need to waste time going extremely in depth in that topic. If you know that it came as an essay for midterm, it's not coming as an essay for final exam. Review it, because it's coming as multiple choice, but it's not coming as an essay question. That being said, you can figure out possible essay questions by how detailed your topics have been over the semester. So for example, let's talk about pharmaco. I'm doing this for all the years so that y'all can relate. Pharmaco is a 3rd year subject. It's the subject that really is about pharmacology, that talks about pharmacology and talks about drugs. The topic where you can explain it in multiple paragraphs, that's going to be one of the essay questions. So in pharmacology or pharmaco, diabetes is always going to come as a final exam question because there's so many options within diabetes. There's two types of diabetes, or technically three, but that's when you do gyno, because there's gestational diabetes as well. But you have type 1 and you have type 2. It's two completely different classifications under it, two completely or multiple different medicines or drugs that can be given to treat them that they can pick from. It's a wide thing that you need to explain the different groups of people that type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes affects. So that's a broad topic where they can give, all right, patient A on your Batteria A. Batteria means like the exam. So usually they give two different papers in exam to avoid cheating. So the first paper might have, you have type 1 diabetes, the patient have, and the second paper might have that the patient have type 2 diabetes. Or if it comes for ordinary, which is the first sitting, that the exam paper, that patient might have type 2 diabetes. But for extraordinary, that patient might have type 1 diabetes. So whenever it's a broad topic like that, where there's multiple options for them to pick from, more than likely that's coming as the essay question or the desarrollo question. Also, it's almost like a rule of thumb in Cuba, or at least at Huron, that if you have a multiple choice or a true or false section, there's at least 2 false. That doesn't happen in third year anymore. And when I say that, I mean it's possible to have more than 2 false. Like, we've had a teacher throw us off where we're like, oh no, it's always 2 false, because every exam before it's always 2 false and everything else are true. So you just have to figure out what the 2 false are and then everything else are true. We've had a teacher before, every single thing except for one thing was false. So everything was false and then there was one true, and majority of people got that wrong because we're so used to it always being 2 false on the paper. It is possible for there to be more than 2 false on the paper, especially if the doctor wants to throw you off. From third year up, if you cannot remember the answer to a question, or maybe you didn't review that topic, you can use real life responses to answer the question. So say for example, all right, one of the exam questions is as it relates to somebody that has hypertension, and maybe they'll ask you like what the treatment plan would be, or somebody that has diabetes and a possible treatment plan, or I'm trying to think, whatever illness. Once you have a general idea of what that illness is, you can sit down and reason out a response that would be acceptable and think about the different things. So in third year, something that they like to ask, a lot of the questions they'll ask you the different tests that you would do on whatever illness or patient with whatever illness and whatever condition. Half the time we don't remember the tests. But you sit down, or we don't usually spend time when you're studying as it relates to like a illness, spend time, all right, this test is specifically for this. Usually when you're studying, you're not thinking that. You're focusing on the treatment plan, so whatever drug that you're giving them. You're focusing on the symptoms to be able to classify and diagnose that illness. You're focusing on the different forms that that illness could come through or could come about or be expressed in. But generally, there's like a broad general exam or lab examinations and physical exams that could be done to diagnose illness most of the time. You can sit down and think like, all right, this patient is ill. What are we going to check for? Oh, we need to do hemogramma. We need to check their blood. Like, that's standard. Most illness, you need to send their blood to the lab to check if something is going on internally. Maybe we need to do an x-ray, or maybe no. It depends. Like things like those, you can sit down and reason, and then you'll list out. They'll usually ask for 5 and then you'll sit down. All right, does this illness affect their kidneys? Is it possible that it could affect their liver? All right, let me put the different lab exams for these different things. Could it affect the coagulation as it relates to the blood? Should we do a coagulogram? Like things like that. You can sit down and reason them out once you understand what that illness is and the concept surrounding that illness. From third year, or in third year, I've noticed one of the batterias, and I said batterias are the 2 type of papers that they give to avoid cheating in exam. One of the batterias have a table, like a fill in the blank table. Pray to God saying I get that batteria. That batteria is always the hardest one. There's no key that's given. It's you're supposed to know from your memory, or you're supposed to figure it out if you didn't study that area what the answer would be. And the battery with the table is usually the worst one, like, and that's always like a whole section to itself. So if you don't pass that, and you only have one more section that you can fail in, and you will still pass. But if you are unsure about 2 other sections in addition to that table, you know, pass. So make sure you pray and ask God to tell you where to sit so you don't get that battery. Also, an additional thing to note, from the minute that you're doing exams in Cuba, it's basically a gambling, because the battery that you get, it depends on where you sit, and you don't know which paper is the good paper, and you don't know which paper is the bad paper, and you don't know where they're going to start from. That's going to cause you to get which paper, because they'll space you out and there'll be a seat in between each person, and then it's like A, B, A, B, A, and that's how they're continually going. And then the next row, B, A, B, A, to make sure that nobody is in close proximity to each other, and 2, to make sure that nobody can ask each other the answer to the question. So most of the time, you really just have to pray so you get the good bacteria, and that good bacteria could depend. Maybe you studied the topic that's coming on as the essay question on the hard bacteria, so that bacteria is good for you. But usually there's an easier one, like they set an easier one-on-one with a more complex essay question, and you just have to hope so you get the right one or the good one for you. It completely depends, and it really is just a game of chance over there, because you can't call them and ask like, oh, Prophet, can you change this for me? They won't do it. They won't do it. I've tried before. I've tried. Ask people ahead of you for past papers. A lot of the times questions repeat, and it won't be like an essay question, but multiple choice questions repeat a lot. So it is within your best interest to ask for past papers and review them. I've literally done an exam before, and somebody did the exam at the same hospital like a semester before me, and they sent like their mid-semester exam that they did, because they were allowed to take a picture of that. They sent the mid-semester exam to me. The exact section came back, question word for word. Like, I didn't have to think to know what to write in there, and it was a fill in the blank. The exact section. Always ask people who are ahead of you for past papers if they still have them in their phone. If you know somebody just finished an exam and they're like a year ahead of you, and you're about to start that exam in September, or start that semester in September, ask them from the summer to send you their exam, because more likely they're going to end up clearing out their phone by September when you need it. And just ask from before. Best advice I could give. I've said this before in a different video, that you should check your P1, because a lot of the times there are topics that aren't taught throughout the school year, and they end up coming on final exam, and you're confused as to where is this coming from. We weren't taught this XYZ. You were supposed to read it independently, and you didn't know that. The P1 lists all the topics that you're supposed to know for the entire semester, as those are the topics that can be, any topic from that can be pulled and set and put on exam. So it's important that you know your P1, go through it and read every topic that is listed on the P1, so that you'll be prepared, fully prepared for exam. Because sometimes it's just like one in CC on the exam. Just one little section is like a B, as in like A, B, C. B could just be this topic you've never seen before, they never taught you before, but you should have read it to be able to answer the question. It happens a lot. And my last piece of advice for you, if you must cheat on exam, and I'm not encouraging anybody to cheat when I say this, but I see it all the time. If you must cheat on exam, please cheat with sense. Please cheat with sense. If you're in first and second year, don't cheat, like at all. If finally, don't cheat, because they will catch you. It happens every year from in first year till now. Every year somebody gets caught with their phone cheating or something like that, and then they take away their paper, and then they have to repeat the year immediately. Once you start in hospitals, doctors are a bit more lenient. Like, they don't really care as much as like the administrative staff in first and second year. However, if you are gonna cheat, please cheat with sense. Like, sense. Like, there's literally ways for you to not get caught. I don't know personally, Mom, if you're watching this, but I'm just saying, please cheat with sense. Don't get caught. Like, just use common sense. That's it. All the best on your exams. Don't cheat on exams. They will throw you out of school. Study for your exams ahead of time. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content like this, smash that thumbs up button. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Please help us to get there. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.